Hi, I'm Gary Collins. Welcome to our magazine. Chicken soup, a family tradition, and here to share her family's long-held secret recipe is Mother Wonderful herself, Myra Channon. Myra, nice to have you here today. I'm afraid to ask, what's the secret of your chicken soup?
You have to steal feet from everybody else's chicken.
Is that really the secret?
My mother always gets extra feet.
Well, Lord knows you got enough feet there.
It's important.
And we're going to find out how you put them in the chicken soup and what it's all about. And this is your mother's recipe that's been handed down.
From generation to generation with lots of aggravation.
Okay, that's the main ingredient, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I can tell we're in for it with Myra Channon. Also on today's show, Bonnie Strauss is going to explore why men often hide their feelings to avoid intimacy. We'll learn from best-selling author and physician Dr. Robin Cook how hospitals will cover for incompetent doctors. We're going to take a look at one program in San Francisco called Firehawks, where firefighters teach young fire setters to understand the sometimes tragic results of playing with fire. And today we conclude our series with one of television's most beautiful women, Linda Evans. I mean, I could swear I've seen you change before my very eyes.
That's right.
We've been talking about Linda Evans' Beauty and Exercise book. I might add, it was edited by Sean Derrick.
That's right.
Your close dear friend.
That's right.
And enough of the inner. Let's talk about the outer, which is so important. And I won't give this away because it is a creation of someone who has been very close to you. He started designing for you with the Big Valley, and he's still designing for you with Dynasty. And it is none other than Hollywood's great designer, Nolan Miller. I'm telling you, you look like Cary Grant coming through those doors.
Oh.
Huh?
Isn't he handsome?
Oh, he's very handsome.
God.
Huh?
Shucks, folks.
Don't you love how they make you feel dumb up here, Nolan?
What's the guy
Anyway,
supposed to say?
I said I wasn't going to give it away. This is one of your creations, isn't it?
Yes.
For Dynasty?
Yeah, right. And we're going to show you a few more, 3 or 4 more.
All right, we're also going to talk about what you look for when you meet someone and how you make distinctions in design from person to person, right?
Right. Okay.
I hope so, because I'm all ready to do that.
I'm very spoiled, as you can tell.
I'm
designing
with
for
Nolan.
Linda.
Nolan and I are good friends. All right, Nolan, Linda, we look forward to that and a lot more in today's edition of Our Magazine. And Nolan Miller. Nolan, how did you begin? I mentioned the Big Valley, but how did that come about? How did you begin designing for Linda?
Well, I accidentally met a young writer, producer named Aaron Spelling, who gave me a job working for Dick Powell. And then a series of things came along, and finally, I guess my intro to Big Valley, though, was Barbara Stanwyck. And where she goes, I go. So when she started working on Big Valley, she insisted I do her clothes, and she takes care of the people around her, so she also insisted I do Linda's. So that's how that all happened.
Yeah, is that fairly unusual for someone of that stature? Now, I've heard a lot of stories about Barbara, how terrific she was, but is it usual for someone to say, well, here, I look terrific, and I'd like my younger co-star to look terrific?
Oh, for that, yes, of course.
Yeah.
usually the star doesn't care what, I mean, she doesn't want her younger co-star to look so terrific.
She used to be so wonderful. She used to have her dresses cut down. They wouldn't have as many outfits for me as they would for her, so they'd cut down some of the clothes of hers for me and use the skirts and add petticoats and everything so I could have more clothes.
Not cut them down, we would make them bigger, taller.
Well, okay,
add to the
change them,
bottom
that's
things,
right.
you know, do things to them.
Do things to them.
Yeah, so that they would fit
What a
Linda.
size, Gary. The point is that Barbara was willing to do that. Which
No, she was very concerned about when they would order 5 dresses for her, she'd say, fine, do 3 for me and 2 for Linda.
Isn't that wonderful?
It was.
Spoiled even then.
Yeah.
I know.
You must have had a nice relationship with her.
Oh, I love her.
Was she kind of a mother figure, in a sense?
Sure, she's like
I mean,
a mom to me.
she
No,
does
she's
that.
like a mom to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I talk to her all the time.
How's she doing, by the way?
She's doing very
Where
well.
she went?
Mm-hmm.
Not only Barbara Stanwyck, but you've designed for Jane Wyman, Lana Turner, and many, many more. What do you look for? And I include Linda in this. What do you look for in a star, in a personality?
Well,
that can make them different from one another when you design.
Well, normally, I mean, if I'm doing a personal wardrobe, then the thing that dictates what I'm designing is if it's what the occasion is, if it's the Academy Awards or if it's something she wants to wear to a luncheon. So we start with that.
Does personality have a lot to do with it?
Of course, personality and the likes and dislikes of the person, whether it's an actress or just a private person. Their likes and dislikes are the first thing that you have to consider, because if somebody is very uncomfortable in a dress, or like in Linda's case, she doesn't like green, if I made the most beautiful green dress in the world, she wouldn't be comfortable in it.
Have you ever designed something for someone you've never met? Or do you insist on...
Well, no, yes, I have. And it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to design something with measurements that have just been mailed to you.
Yeah. Aside from green, is there anything else you don't like, Linda? Any styles, particular styles? Or...
Well, I don't look very good in full skirts and ruffles and
Big
things
belly.
like that. No, well, you'd be surprised. He got around all that. Yeah.
Why? What's the matter with ruffles and stuff? Is that...
Well, full
just curious if you
skirts.
haven't-
Full skirts, because my shoulders are so big, make me look very hippie and very large.
Ah.
It just looks like I'm just like a tank. I could start up here and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So he tries to, you know, I can't do anything about my shoulders. They're here. So he tries to,
De-accent.
accent this.
Yeah.
No, it's no. He,
As long as we keep
It's in
everything
now.
big up here and we do
Well,
you
sleeves.
have big shoulders now, I'm
Right.
okay.
If you don't have them, you buy them, right? Put them on there.
But with Linda's built wide in the shoulders, so we do important detail, and then we keep her very slim in the hips, and it shows off her figure. But the minute that you put her in something that's big in the top and then a big full skirt, you lose her.
Yeah, I
her
can't
figure.
imagine this being an enormous problem for you. What's the most challenging thing that you've had to do with a design for someone? It doesn't necessarily have to be Linda.
Oh, well, I once did a dress for an actress for her curtain call that weighed so much it was solid rhinestones that when she took her great sweeping bow at the end of the show, and the applause was tremendous, and she was very overcome, and she did a very sweeping, deep curtsy and crumpled to the stage and couldn't get up because the dress was so everyone refers to it as my doom dress.
Gosh, that's funny. I mentioned you designed Dynasty. You designed 3 other shows. What are the other
I
3?
do, well, I do all of Aaron Spelling's shows. Love Boat, Matt Houston, and The New Hotel, which is...
Do you pay a lot of attention to what's going on current fashion?
Sure, but I'm a firm believer in, never mind what the current fashion, I mean, we can't do something that they don't even look like they're in style or
Yes.
that's current, but I would much rather see women wear something that looks good on them, is right for them, than simply because it's in a fashion magazine. I mean, so many people, women today, I think, are sort of brainwashed with labels and names, and they will just say, oh, look at this, it's Halston, or look at this, it's what, Yves Saint Laurent. It doesn't matter, and it could be terrible on them, but it's okay because they saw it in Vogue and because it has a name.
Well, looking back, has there been one person that's taught you the most, or taught you some very critical points?
Oh, you mean in designing for films?
Yes.
Barbara Stanwyck.
Barbara was
Oh,
awesome.
yes. I mean, she's... I went to school and studied, but I learned more from her than and I've been very fortunate because when I started out working for Aaron, it was the Dick Powell shows, and we had, I think they probably started cameo roles. So we had Joan Crawford, Barbara Stanwyck, Jane Wyman. We had all the big superstars on cameo, and they have all had the finest designers in the world in their careers. They've all looked at themselves for 30, 40 years on the screen. They know what's good for them, what's bad for them, what photographed right, and I had the benefit of all of that.
Linda Nolan, this has been so much fun. We're not going to end it right here. We're going to take a short break and be back, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at the fruits of Nolan Miller's labor on Miss Linda Evans, a fashion show. We'll be right back. back. We're talking with Nolan Miller and Linda Evans. Nolan, of course, the designer for Dynasty. You started with Linda, gosh, Big Valley. I've also noticed you design things that, I don't know, things that pop out at you, and then things that are real kind of quiet and subdued. But how do you make that determination?
Well, certain things have to work for, we're talking about now for Dynasty or for film.
Yeah.
So if she has a very dramatic scene where she's crying and Blake's being mean to her, she can hardly be in a red sequin gown. I mean, we do the wardrobe to work with the scene to help the scene.
Mood wardrobe.
Mood wardrobe. It sets the thing. For example, when the first time that Stephen saw his baby, his homecoming, in the concept meeting, Doug Kramer said, she should look like a Madonna when she comes down the stairs with the baby in her arms. So we put her in white chiffon. I mean, it's not exactly what you'd really sit around the house with the baby in, but she came down the stairs in white chiffon with cut velvet holding the baby, and she was very Madonna.
What are you going to be wearing this fall? Anything you want to mention?
He's
Anything you want to talk about?
designing them as we speak. He was just talking to me one upstairs. What did you say, the paisley?
We're doing a lot of velvets, but especially a new outfit is paisley velvet with suede. We're using a lot of suede, a lot of very beautiful suede. We've decided that's a good look for her. A lot of suede and a lot of fur.
Okay.
And
Well, I think
we're
we're
doing
about-
stronger colors on Linda now.
We're
In the
about to see
beginning,
some of the things that you have designed that Linda has worn, and some stuff that has not yet been seen on the show. Am I
Yes,
correct? All
yes.
right. Let's take a look at the designs of Nolan Miller, modeled by Miss Linda Evans.
This was Linda's wedding gown. This was in the first season of Dynasty, and this was her wedding gown. And it's a white silk crepe two-piece dress, and it's all embroidered on the top in silk cord, all in soutache. Very heavily embroidered. And it was a garden wedding, and since it was her second wedding, we didn't want to do the veil and the whole thing, so we kept it very simple. This was a pantsuit. I think you ran an errand in it or something, or you went looking for Blake.
Ran up a mountain.
Yes, you ran up a mountain.
My white outfit.
And it's white cashmere.
Oh,
and
I remember seeing that, yeah.
It has a pattern of white satin leaves on the shoulder, on the jumpsuit, and the cape is bordered in white satin, and it's all white cashmere.
You have to design for just a brief appearance as well, don't you?
Sure, sure. If she's answering the telephone, she's still saying, I mean, she still has to have clothes. And this was a suit. This she wore to the reading of the will. And
Just to make sure they knew what her portion was, huh?
it's a tweed suit trimmed in foxtails. This was to let them know that she was rich already and didn't need the money.
Just the two colors, the beige and the white, are just so terrific for you. That's another thing you have to pay attention to, is her coloring.
Yes, Linda's wonderful in beige and
As I
white.
recall, Alexis was in black that day.
And this is an evening gown, which is new, has not been on the show yet. And it's all, the entire thing is beaded.
Kind of makes you forget about those shoulders, doesn't it? Before we go, you mentioned just answering the phone. What's the shortest scene that you've had something designed for?
Oh, goodness, I think, my favorite one was when I came down the stairs to go to my car, and he had this wonderful beaded pants outfit with bugle beads and a cape, the full-length cape, and I just swept down the stairs and said I had to go somewhere and went out the door, and
Just
I
a
never
walk
wore it
by,
ever
huh?
again. It's
Where does
wonderful.
all this beautiful stuff go that you designed?
In the wardrobe department, and a few of them end up in her closet.
Sometimes we don't take them
The
all.
closets keep enlarging, I'm sure,
We
when
borrow
they're
them.
designed for by Nolan Miller. Nolan, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here.
Fun being here.
And I can't thank you enough. Continued success. You grow more beautiful each time we see you, inside and out.
Thank you.
We'll be back. Psychotherapist Dr. Lillian Rubin has written a book called Intimate Strangers, about men and women who long for an intimate relationship but just find it very difficult to achieve. Today, Bonnie Strauss will discover one of the reasons why. Bonnie?
Well, Gary, as women, probably most of us have talked to the man in our life, and we've asked that he communicate more, express more feelings, and And be more sensitive. Well, those are the kind of requests that frequently cause a lot of problems in a relationship, but there are ways, hopefully, of minimizing those. And Dr. Lillian Rubin is with us today to tell us about what she has done in terms of research and how we can really achieve better communication. Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
We toss around so much the word intimacy today. What is your definition of it?
Well, as I define it, it is a reciprocal sharing of inner thought and feeling between two people. And what it means, Bonnie, is that I will tell you what's going on in my interior life, what I'm thinking, feeling, fearing, wanting. But it means something else. It means that I want to know what's going on in your life as well, and that I will listen attentively and care about it.
So it has to be a two-way street.
It has to be a two-way street.
The whole fear seems to rest so often on, the resistance or the hesitancy to take off our masks and to think that anybody would possibly love us.
Yes, indeed. It's a paradoxical issue, that one. On the one hand, we're always looking for someone with whom we can be ourselves, that notion that someone will love us just for us. And yet, when we do that, we often then get frightened about that when we reveal some parts of ourselves that we are uncomfortable with, what we call the shadow side. We become a little frightened, a little anxious. We pull away a little bit, and we want, if I do that, I want you to come after me and say, hey, I still love you, but you may not know that. And if I pull away, then you pull away, and there you go. Then you have two people making distance between each other, not really knowing why.
Mm-hmm. So often women complain that they ask the man in their life, what's wrong? And the reply is often nothing.
Yes.
What do you do with that? I mean, that's such a source of outrage for so many women.
Yes, it is. Well, let's try it out. Why don't you be the man? Okay?
All right. Okay. All right. Am I going to say nothing?
Well, you're going to say whatever
All
some
right.
man has said to you in your life.
All right, okay. This is not any personal reflection of any of my life in the past. Go ahead.
Honey, you look upset. Is anything the matter?
No, nothing.
Well, gee, I walked in. You look so preoccupied. Nothing's the matter?
Nothing's the matter. I just don't want to talk about it.
Well, you don't want to talk about it? How can you not want to? I know something's bothering you.
Well, at this point, were I a man and I didn't want to talk about it, I would really be bugged.
You'd be bugged, and at this point, were this real, I'd be bugged saying, right?
All right.
Okay.
What happens?
Now, supposing we turn that dialogue around for a minute. If I am a woman now, if I am me, who understands something about what's going on inside you and why it's so hard for you to speak, yet I want to communicate to you how much I need you to give me another answer besides nothing, nowhere, everything's okay, then when you say, no, I don't want to talk about it, then I can say, look, hon, I need to know what's going on. Now, I understand that you don't need to tell me, but if we can't reach something on this, if I can't reach some part of you where you could say to me in some nice way, it's not you I want to reject, I love you, but I can't talk about it now. Give me a couple hours and I'll talk about it later. That's all I'd need. I could go away feeling comfortable and happy, and even if you didn't talk about it for 3 days, that would be okay. But you see, what happens is he hasn't been able to tell her why he can't talk about it. He just internally gets pulled back and bugged. And she feels rejected and unloved, and somehow as if her best efforts to nurture him are not bringing her anything back. And that's the conflict.
Your research indicates that women in general have a much greater need for verbal connection.
Yes.
Well, what do you do about that? If you do need words, some men feel close by just being there or by just having their mate there. What do you do about that if you do have a great desire to talk and you feel that that is the best type of connection?
Well, again, for one thing, let's be clear. I think, and I think certainly most people in my field would agree, that without some kind of exchange of words, then people really can't know each other. It's all lovely and romantic to say, well, without words, but it doesn't work. We really don't know what's going on, and we're left to our imagination, which is also quite dangerous in a relationship, because we imagine all kinds of things. I think What we need to do primarily is to understand, number one, that men and women are different on such issues, whether it's intimacy, verbal intimacy, whether it's sexual intimacy, whether it's the issue of dependency, how we take care of our children, how we parent. We are different, and the differences are profound and important. They're not biological, but they do exist, and as long as they exist, we need to understand first what they are, then and understand why they're there, so that, for example, if I know that, if you're the man who doesn't want to talk to me and I wander off, as so many women do then, to go talk to a friend on the phone, when I come back 30 minutes later, his response is, where have you been and what have you been talking on? What do you women talk on the phone so much about? And he's really angry because he feels left. Now, she doesn't know that, but if I know that he's going to feel abandoned if I leave to talk on the phone, and if he knows that I'm going to go because I really need some conversation and that kind of contact, then one or the other is going to make a move at something that will resolve that impasse. She can say, I know you need me here, hon, but I really need to talk, and since you won't, I'm going to call Jane. And that would be enough for him not to feel abandoned.
There was one point that I thought that really stood out, and you talked about how so often women are not even tested in terms of their potential for intimacy because the men are not ready to be intimate. But if they were with a man that really wanted intimacy, they could find out that they're perhaps not as capable as they thought, and that so often they hide behind nurturing.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Women, we all know women who are exquisite nurturers of the children, the husband, the parents, you know, friends, everyone around them. But that, in fact, that kind of nurturing can be wonderful. It can be an aid to intimacy, but it often is a block to intimacy. It is a way of seducing someone into your care so that you don't have to be intimate. So that they'll love you because you're giving them care, not because you're sharing yourself. Exactly.
And playing mother.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Rubin. We've had lots of good information and a lot to think about. We'll be back in just a minute.